All right, sweet. Ron, we're here and we're ready to take names. All right, all right. All right, so let me mute that. All right, cool. All right, what are we gonna do? We gotta go here. All right. Gotta go here. There. All right, cool. Looking good, ought to be in Hollywood. Looking good, ought to be in Hollywood. All right, all right, all right. Thanks for being on here, everybody. Kind of late, late to the. I didn't warn anybody. Hey, what's up, Brett? Cool. I'm glad you're here, man. I got your email. Did you say you'd be interested in editing my book? Is that what you said? I just saw an email, but I didn't have a chance to read it yet because that would be sweet, man. Let's see here, because my Wellington book is done. Hey, Denise. Hey, what's going on? Now, remember, this is YouTube, everybody. It's on YouTube, so no call-in. But appreciate you. And so if any of y'all who are Subscribe Star patrons, or whatever you call them, who want to edit the Wellington book. Now, remember, if you're a Subscribe Star person, right on. All right, cool, Brett. Thanks. You get the book for free anyway. My wife is walking him, and he just dropped a big old deuce for me. And then my wife took him for another walk, and he dropped a big old deuce for her too. I'm like, dude, what is the chili? Anyway, so hey, what's going on, Vinyl? So Subscribe Star people, you will get the book for free once it's done. And actually, let's just take a gander, shall we, at the book. If I can find it. There we go. I think this will be it. Let's see. Yeah, this is it. All right, so here's the book right here. I'm just curious how many words, where do you find the word count? Where's the word count thing? Format, tools. Gotta be, missing it. Tools, word count, right there, word count. So let's take a look at the word count. 17,000 words. All right, gotcha. Lots of tables like this. So I have two, just real quick, Brett, and anyone else is interested, I got two different kind of tables. All right, so we got, this is, lots of tables like this. There's there's your favorite dog, Carl. But then I got other tables like this. All right, so I kind of vary them a little bit. I like these personally because you get to see the actual details, if that makes sense. I mean, it takes a lot of space, and they're not very pretty to look at for some people. I like them. For me, I'm as an Excel geek, and I'm not an Excel guru. I love Excel. I like tables like this because you can kind of see the actual numbers that are behind it. For a visual, some people, this is more visually appealing, I think, for many people. Anyway, so I kind of go back and forth, but just tons of different tables, and I love it. I love this book. Initially, I wasn't going to do the, let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's a Barbell retirement plan. Initially, I was not going to do, hold on a sec. I was not going to do, if I can find it, reverse RMDs. What's up, big guy? Hi, Poopy. I wasn't going to do reverse RMDs. I was going to hold that for another book, but I'm doing it. And I think it's that valuable that even if I do, I'm going to have another book solely on reverse RMDs with the S&P 500. And even if it's that kind of redundant in some parts, because this is just talking about the Wellington, I'm still going to do the reverse RMD in action and do another book on that solely with the S&P 500. As opposed to Wellington. And there will be some, obviously redundancy there, but I'm still doing it because I think it's cool. I love the reverse RMD. All right, so cool. I hope that makes sense. All right. What is it doing here? All right. Wonder why it takes so long for the live stream to show up on a PC. I don't know, right? Good question. I know what happens to a property tax when I inherit a home from my parents. Do you get their tax basis for property tax, or does it increase? It's going to be whatever the fair market value of the house is, or however they do it by mill, right? So whatever whatever they chart, whatever the property taxes are going to change. Maybe it goes actually up because maybe there's a homestead exemption or something like that if your parents are over 65. What's up, Scott? What's going on, man? Inform us what's going on after you got out of your COJ. Yeah, you got to wait for the next reassessment. 100% right. Yep, exactly. Yep. Vinyl's hit it on the head. So, Scott, tell us what's going on with this, with your travels, if you will. All right, so a couple of things. I want to start off here because I'm stoked by this. Let's see. I want to go to, oops, hold on a sec. I'm going to share a screen. All right, so let's go back. A couple of things I want to go over here. All right, let's go up here. I'm going to hide that guy. I think it was this right here. Yeah. So let's, I don't know if you follow that guy, uneducated economist. He's always talking about lumber, and some of that stuff I find interesting. Some of it, it's of interest to me, but it's not that of interest to me, frankly. But it is of interest just to see where inflation is and what the cost of house are and stuff. Anyway, it's pretty interesting. So here's some NAHB. NAHB is National Association of Home Builders, and I remember. The NAHB was huge back when we were living in Shenandoah Valley back in the 2000s, mid 2000s, because housing was just going through the roof, and people would pay big bucks to go to the NAHB. They have these just like events, and it was crazy. I remember setting up tables. I think I paid, I don't know, $300 or something like that to have a table for a conference they were doing or a convention that they were doing, and all up and down the Shenandoah Valley, up 81 corridor. Maybe it was more than that, I can't remember, but NAHB was huge, and then just fell off a cliff because the chaos that came starting in 2006. But anyway, so they're still interesting. It wasn't the NAHB, it was the NAR economist was a piece of excrement. I almost want to think it was Moody's Analytics guy, whatever that Mark Zandi. I almost want to think it was him, but I might be wrong there. But I tell you, the NAR guy was just freaking lying through his, I don't know if he's lying. He was either ignorant or he was lying. One of those two things, because he was saying real estate, was going to keep going up and up and up. And that was what the NAR, and I'm sure NAHB was doing the same thing. That's what they're, basically their economists were saying. And just based, it's horrible. I think it was Mark Zandi from Moody's, actually. Anyway, be it as it may. So NAHB, framing lumber prices. The recent spike in softwood lumber prices has caused the price of average new single-family homes to increase by 16,000 since April 17th. Similarly, the price of average new multi-family home has increased by 6,000. The prices listed below provide an overview of the behaviors within the U.S. framing lumber pricing market. The information is sourced each week using the Random Lengths Framing Lumber Composite, which is comprised using housing prices from the highest volume producing regions of the U.S. and Canada. Simon is the guy's name over at Uneducated Economist. He knows this a hell of a lot more than I do. So don't, okay, there you go. I'm not, don't hold me as sacrosanct on this. I'm just looking at what these guys are saying, but it's interesting. So we see a couple of things. The housing single family home increased $16,000, the average new one since April. That's pretty significant, especially if the median housing value was like 260, and now we just came back out. The median existing home sale, not housing value, sale was like 316. The median existing family home sale was like 316 or something like that this last month. Nuts. Well, is there any why? Because it costs so much more to build a new home. It's going to cost more to sell an already constructed home. Anyway, so here we got a graph here, and we're just going from January until basically the end of this last week. Random lengths, that's this price right there. That's the price. But look at this drop in future prices. Look at that drop. I mean, that's huge. So I don't know what that means. Does that I have a sneaky suspicion it means that there'll be a significant decrease in lumber prices going forward. I mean, it looks to me like the prices follow the futures. We shall see. I mean, that's the price right there, basically $950 per 1,000 board feet, and this is what the futures are. I mean, that's literally 40% less roughly. So that is of interest to me. So I found that pretty interesting, actually. And then if we go to I want to go back right here. That's of interest to me because I do want we talked about that. Okay, cool. We already talked about that. Lumber finds lumber. Okay, so you can go to this lumber briefing replay and watch a video if you want. I'm not gonna do that here. It seemed like I had something else I wanted to do on this. Let me get out of it. I can't remember where I got it. I want to show you something else though here too. Let me see where that takes us. Oops. Oh yeah. Okay. Here we go. Oh. Yeah, right here. All right. So let's go back. Share screen. All right. So this is again from NAHB, National Association of Home Builders. Single family starts shown. This is Dateline September 17th. Single family starts showed continued growth in August, but overall housing production fell 5.1% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 1.4 million units due to a double-digit percentage decline in multifamily production. That might have something to do with the lumber prices, actually. The pace of single family starts was the highest rate since February. The August reading of 1.42 million starts is the number of housing units builders would begin if they kept pace for the next 12 months. With this overall number, the single family starts increased by 4.1% to 1.02 million. Let's see, the multifamily sector, which includes apartment buildings and condos, decreased 22%. I don't know what to make of all that. So that sounds like that might not be good, but let's check this out. If I can open this guy, look at this. I hope you all can see that. Let me just see real quick. Let me see I'm not sure if you guys can see that. Hold on, I think I might have to share that screen. All right, hold on. Okay, yeah, you're not seeing that. All right, let me share this. Yeah, share this right here. Yeah, all right, so here, make sure you guys can see that. Am I sharing it? Can't tell. Oh, all right, hold on a sec. There we go, sweet. All right, yep, you are. All right. All right, so building confidence sets all-time record. The NAHB Housing Market Index survey of NAHB members who rate market conditions for the sale of new homes at the present time and over the next 6 months, as well as the traffic of prospective buyers of new homes. Look at that, man. Woo, the highest ever. That's good stuff. Now, is that the, is that the same as let me just, I mean, is that the same for the buyers though? I don't know, but let's take it. Something else that's pretty interesting. So we go to Realtor, and I always like going to these kind of websites. So let's go to realtor.com. Someone listed a house down the street from us that they're asking, they just bought that house just 2 years ago, and they're asking $100,000 more than what they bought it for just 2 years ago, which is crazy. So here we can go to realtor.com. I just want to make sure you guys can see this. Hold on just a second. I'm kind of confused on my screen share. I want to show you. This is pretty cool, actually. All right, sweet. So here's realtor.com, and here's Canton, Georgia. So I live up in here in Alpharetta. This is where I live, right here in Alpharetta. And I just said single family homes, 4 beds, 2 baths, and that's it. I don't think, what is the other filter I put on here? Just a search and radius 50 miles. All right, so that's what I'm doing. I'm saying single family homes, and we can even do price of 250. All right, so there we go. And let's all right, and we'll do 250 to 600 for simplicity. All right, so you can see we got 9,797 homes for 250 to 600,000. Single. I got the right price. Yeah, okay. 250 is 6. That's in Canton, Georgia. Again, this is me right here. Canton, Georgia is right here. So here, or right there, I should say. That's where I got my meat from my man Jordan, right in here. That's where I got my half a cow, which is freaking awesome, by the way. I had the brisket the other night. Oh, heavenly. All right, so I want to show you something. So this is single family homes. We talked about that, but I want to go to listing stats. So you see 9,700, but watch this. You go to high pending contingent. It drops by half. It's crazy. I mean, look at that. It's more than half. So, I mean, that means half the house. I don't know if that's just normal. I don't know. But look at that. It drops by half. So half the houses for sale have contingencies already on them. I don't, if Mary's on here or any realtors are on here, is that normal? That just seems remarkable to me. And how I found that out is I was looking at Rapid City. Whoa, what was that noise? And I said, let's take a look at Rapid City. And I said, there's 81 homes in Rapid City. And then we can even add, manufacturing homes if we want, because that's what I was looking at. I was actually looking at right there, mobile homes. And let's do that. So here we got 81, and we got 85. That's it. 85 mobile homes and single family homes in Rapid City area, a radius of 50 miles that have no pending. And if we click off of pending, it goes to 183. Isn't that nuts? I don't know if that's normal or not. That's crazy to me. I'm sitting there thinking, whoa, what's happened there? So then I said, well, let's go to Minneapolis. Minneapolis, right there. I would think that, I don't know how it works in Minneapolis. Right? So we got listing status. All right, so we got 5,600 houses for sale in Minneapolis. And let's go to hide pending. 5,600 to how many? To 2,100. But see, the interesting thing is, I mean, there's someone on the other side of the trade. This is what I don't get. So everyone's sitting there thinking no one wants to live in these cities and stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, but if they're selling their house to escape the freaking city, let's look. I want to look at Powderhorn Park. Let's see if we can find that. That's where they allowed these idiots to take over a park. Wait, hold on a sec. And the Powderhorn, right there. All right, so let's look at Powderhorn Park. So what happened at Powderhorn Park is kind of like the hipster, very hoity-toity liberal people live there. And they allowed, there's a park, literally this park right here. They allowed, gangsters and drug addicts and all these, homeless people to take over. According to the mayor, saying, hey, you can live there. And people were like, dude, I didn't pay to live next to all these people. But anyway, so that's hide pending. So let's not, so we got, let's see. Let's go here. It's not hide pending. Well, I guess it's not going to. All right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 houses that are listing status right there. If we go hide pending, we only have, it doesn't change much. Anyway, so I'm not sure how what to deal with that. But I mean, isn't that weird though? I mean, look, there's no houses for sale in these places. I don't know if it's because they were bought up or just people can't list them. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But I'm just sitting there thinking, you can't tell me only one guy wants to sell this house in Powderhorn Park. I'm sorry. And it's only listed at 11 hours ago, this guy right here. And so that just doesn't make sense to me. And so last sold $110 $1,000 and well, that's okay. Hold on a second. So let's just see property history. So they listed it. They just listed it for $339. So that's literally the only house that's being listed in that area. It just is odd to me because either that means people cannot sell these houses to save their life, or there's just or they just get bought quickly. I don't know what to make of that. It's odd to me. But anyway, the point about that is, I mean, if there's this huge mass of leaving the city, well, someone's got to be on the buy side of that sale. And the only thing I can think of, like Minneapolis, is there's no one on the buy side because no one wants to move there, and thus there's no houses being listed. I don't know. I just don't know what to make of that. It's very interesting to me, though. But anyway, so let's go to, I don't know, we'll just go to, we'll go to Bernie, Texas, and we'll say, what's it like in Bernie? And, this is where we used to live in Kendall County, Texas. And we got 36 homes, 100 homes for sale. That aren't pending in that same category. And then if we hide pending, you got 40. So not that much. Anyway, it's interesting to me. I don't know what to make of all that. I sit there and I wonder, I say, if people are truly leaving the cities, well, that means they have to sell. And if they're having to sell, who's buying that house? I don't know. Is Mary Hampton on here? I'd like to see if she has she's our realtor. Hey, Marie. All right, yeah, I don't see Mary on here. So if anyone's in real estate in this, I'd like your thoughts. Actually, one more thing. Let's go up to Portland, Maine. All right, so actually, no, I know what we'll do. We'll go to, where did the guys say they're fleeing to? They're getting out of Boston. They're moving to New Hampshire. I don't know. Keene, that guy lived in Keene, New Hampshire, right? Interviewed. Let's take a gander. Keene, New Hampshire. All right, so we got 289 homes in Keene, New Hampshire. And listing status, if we change the listing status to hide pending contingent, it goes from 289 to 1. So again about half. I just wonder if that's normal. I don't know. All right, so that's interesting to me. I don't know, see if anyone has any thoughts on that. I don't know what to make. Inheritance of mineral rights. Yeah, I don't know much about mineral rights, Roy, but Ray, but by all means, we can discuss. Throw it out there. Here's a man, Scott. He's RVing across the U.S., currently in Missouri, headed to Branson for a few days. Right on, man. Cheap RV living channel. That's pretty cool. No, I got to look at that. Alberto says he found a reason to live in California. When you get Medicare on your birthday, you can change Medicare insurance. Yeah, no, that's right. So basically, what Al is saying is that, and I assume you're talking about Medigap. I can almost guarantee you are. So in California, New York, my man J.O., and it's not J.O., it's Jaeoh, Korean heritage. But he was telling me when he did the interviews on this, that it was like New York, I think Massachusetts, California, Oregon, a couple, I think Washington too, where once you were on Medigap, you could switch. No, once you're on Medicare Advantage, you could go to Medigap without being underwritten. That's what it was. So once you're on Medigap, you can go to Medicare Advantage. You could go to Medigap, which makes it very, very pricey for Medigap. Medigap and Medicare supplement the same thing. Simply because that's not what insurance is there for. That's like being able to buy insurance after your house catches on fire. Stupid, but I mean, I get it. It's just dumb from an insurance perspective. They're going to have to raise the prices on everybody because they're like, look, if we have to give it without any contingency on pre-existing conditions, we're going to make it more expensive for everybody. So stupid, but yeah, I mean, we don't make the rules. Them's the rules. We just live by it. Connecticut, yeah, exactly, yep. Yeah, so remember, so what Al is saying again, so remember, you can go on Medicare Advantage, which is cheap. And then the drawback about Medicare Advantage is basically like an HMO. And, if you're in a high populated place, there's probably going to be doctors in your network. If you're in a rural place, there probably won't be. And if you do any traveling, you want to make sure, in my opinion, I'd say most people would agree with this. If you have the resources, you definitely want Medicare, Medigap, or Medicare supplemental policy. You don't want Part C. You want Medicare supplement or Medigap. It's the same thing. And so what happens is you in California, you can take the cheaper Medicare Advantage, and then once you need more specific stuff, you can just switch on over to Medigap. And Connecticut, a couple other places too. A lot of states actually, mostly in the Northeast, the West, and then up the upper Midwest too. Building demand goes down in winter. I don't know, Cindy. It's a good question. I certainly don't know if you could say now because we've had the pandemic, the fake pandemic, where people were just kind of put on hold for buying and stuff. It's interesting to me. Ray says, what happened to property values in California, New York, and whichever way the presidential election accumulates? I still don't believe that there's this huge mass exodus. I don't believe that. I mean, I know we can look at U-Haul rates and stuff like that. I think if anything, the mass exodus is only from the companies, Alliance Bernstein moving to Nashville, I mean, hell, Joe Rogan's, but it's just a small podcast. The Tesla, have we ever confirmed that Tesla moved headquarters to Austin? I don't know. Other than big, huge companies, I just don't think there's mass movement of people getting out of these states. And then the reason for this is because I think most people know what they got when they moved there. And most people just don't move that much. I did a video on this like 2 years ago, one of my first probably 50 videos. I just showed you, just using census bureaus, there's just not that much migration. It's not. The most migration is intrastate, and then the most migration within that is intra-county. Right? So it's basically, like moving from, these people who sold that house 2 years ago, they moved in the same county. I think they moved to I can't remember where they moved to, but that intra-county, intrastate, and then interstate. It's I don't know. We'll see. I don't think there's this huge movement of bodies and families, across the board. I just don't. And don't forget, because you got to sell your house. Pain in the ass, man. Selling a house sucks. And then you got to turn around and buy one too. Who was saying the other day, they're like, oh, I can sell my house for, I don't know, 800,000, whatever, 800,000 bucks. I said, yeah, but you still got to turn around and buy something for more expensive too. Crazy. So Ray is saying the property values be a good opportunity to buy in. Well, that's my been thinking. Right on, man. Working Stiff says he earned his paycheck today, picking things up and putting them down. But you can see the light at the crack pipe. I'm crawling through one rock at a time, break one lock at a time. Q Humor says in my city, I was check new construction condos, 246. 3 weeks later, it's 258. Something is happening. Yeah. Maybe I don't know, man. I mean, there is a price increase, and that's a fact. I mean, if we have the price of lumber causing a 13,000 increase in new construction, inherently that's going to have an effect on obviously previously built houses. We call that the substitute effect, actually, in economics. This one has gone up too much, i.e., the price of a new build. So I'm going to substitute the new build for what I don't want, what I didn't want initially, which would be an already built home. Substitution effect. Bacon's too high, so I'm going to buy turkey bacon. And if I ever find anyone doing that, you're banned. But that's what happens. It's like the substitution effect works all the time. Hamburger's too high, I'm going to buy hot dogs. Inherently, that makes the price of hot dogs go up, because that's economics. That's why the government can never maintain prices. The government doesn't know what the hell it's doing, because the prices are based on people's willingness to pay. And the government gets in the way, it screws everything up, which is why the whole thing with wages and price controls under Nixon was just horrific. Of course, that's inflationary. You're keeping a lid on the prices. But Josh, they're going to exploit you. Then don't buy the damn thing. I mean, can we not treat each other as big boys and girls? My goodness. But Josh, they're charging too much. Charging too much for whom? For me. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. Then go find something else. That's your own problem, man. Crazy. I hate the whole thing about they're charging too high of a price. They're exploiting us. No, you don't have to buy it. No one's putting a gun to your head and making you buy it, other than Obamacare. Yeah. And let's see. All right. I think people move to fall. I think that's right. Denise. People move to fall jobs. 100%. Yep. And people like where they live. That's why they live there. I completely agree with that. Tesla is still based in Palo Alto. Huh? Right on. To the people in Missouri headed for Branson, go to the Dogwood Canyon and Branson Bell. We just finished a 30-day road trip. Cool, man. John says a big fan of cheap RV living. Amazing how these nomads outfit their various rigs. Yeah, man. Okay. Boxing forms today. That was my Friday. Looking for something more in life. All right, Marie. Well, what's stopping you? What's stopping you? And I mean, I don't mean that negatively. I'm just curious. What is stopping you? And I like my video I did earlier today. Like, what is stopping us? Yeah, I mean, like I said in my own thing, I was just making so much money at USAA. I said, how do I turn this down? I was dealing with a guy today, same kind of thing. He's like, 64-year-old guy, and he's like making 200. Is in a high, an executive position for his company, and he just looks out the back window, and he's just looking at his beautiful mountains, and he says, "Man, I just don't want to do this anymore. Go to work." I said, "Dude, don't." You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't. In February, he's going to hang it up, man. And it's and now that guy might not be Marie, might not be working stiff. I don't know. But, at some point you say, I'm looking, all he wants to do is go out in the back and, move wood, freaking chop down some trees and move them and just move around in the forest. That's all he wants to do. And, the funny thing is, I'm like, if that's all you're going to do, you could probably get by on Social Security alone. You know what I'm saying? And he wants to be with his grandkids. I mean, he wants to spend a month a year being with his grandkids. I said, dude, that's not that expensive to do all this stuff. And anyway, and he's gonna be fine. And it just is, he's gonna be fine. And but how about healthcare? All right, so it costs some money for healthcare for the first couple of years until he goes on Medicare. Can we make it work? Maybe. In this case, yes, the answer is unequivocally yes. But if we can't, then that's something we have to challenge ourselves with. Talked to a guy not too long ago. He and his wife, forgot where they're from, and they're going to go on Medicare. Yeah, that's right, my man. I can't, obviously, I won't say anything else. But he's like, look, I've never been to the doctor. I'm in good shape. I might need to go to the doctor at some point, but I don't go. I'm just, I think he's like 58. He's gonna RV himself. He goes, I'm just gonna buy Medicare, and I'll have to pay out of pocket. And the idea that someone was saying today, they're saying Obamacare. Who was it? I was just reading this. There's a quote from Azar, the Secretary of Labor or Health and Human Services. See if I can't find that. It was pretty interesting, actually. He said the idea. I can't find it. He said the idea that Obamacare covers pre-existing conditions is silly. When you have a $20,000 deductible and you have $1,200 a month for premiums, if that that's it, that's on the low end. So we can't sit there and say, oh my goodness, we have we have coverage when it takes $20,000 right out of the gate plus $1,200 a month in premiums. I completely agree. And the interesting thing about that is I'm looking forward to reading more about Trump's health plan, because I think at the end of the day, the reason most of us stay at our crappy old jobs is because health insurance. And if we can minimize that to some degree, I just say go complete vouchers, man. Say, look, government, I just be like Medicare. I get no qualm with it, but it's not Medicare for all. We're just saying at the end of the day, the government's going to fund vouchers just like the GI Bill. Just very fascist, absolutely. But just like the GI Bill, the government says, here you go. You have to buy you have to buy health insurance. But that's not constitutional. Well, that freaking ship has sailed, man. They can force you to do anything they want. So you have to use this money to buy health insurance. We're going to give you $10,000 a year from the government, our taxes, and go crazy. You know what I'm saying? You can buy whatever plan you want, but don't come back to us later. And I think that's the way to go. Absolutely. The interesting thing is that the Democrats don't want that because they don't want freedom. They want single payer, top down command control. The Republicans, the Libertarians, the ones say, no, we want it to be covered. We're going to put some mandates on it, because we live in a fascist country. Oh my goodness, not brown shirt fascists, big government, big business. That's what we're living in. To say otherwise is to be silly. And say, okay, so we live in this, let's make it work for the most of us. And to do that, say we're going to give you some sense of liberty, like a GI Bill and like Medicare Advantage. And then we're going to mandate the players who want to get involved, they have a right to make a profit. But we're going to mandate what those profits are, and everyone's happy, if that makes sense. And that's the whole thing about the GI Bill. GI Bill, they said, look, you have to use it for college. You cannot use it for anything else. But what they do, they just send you a check. I mean, you could, as long as you're enrolled, you got money for the GI Bill. So as long as I was enrolled and maintaining a 2.0, I think, I got $733 a month for 3 years, I think is what I got. Now, I had to pay for college, but that money that I got, literally a physical check, I deposited my checking account. I could go freaking smoke crack with it. I could do whatever I want. But I still had college, but as long as I was enrolled in college, the GI Bill did not send it to the college. They sent it to me, and I could do whatever I want with it. And that's the way healthcare should be. And then just think everyone can do whatever the hell they want and not be at the freaking whim of big corporations saying, you're going to learn white fragility and how you should be ashamed of being white and how blah, 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 blah. And you're like, dude, what does this have to do with freaking moving rocks from point A to point B? No one cares. No one cares other than rich elitists in the coastal area who've never worked a real job in their life. No one else cares. Let's see. Turkey bacon. That's disgusting. Don't ever say that again. Yeah. So the chain is indeed okay. With all the companies moving to DFW, we have a huge influx of out-of-state movements and consequently enormous sellers market. Yeah, I'm sure there's exceptions. I just don't think it's mass across the country. But I'm going to talk to a guy, a realtor from Maine, on Monday. My man Dougie Fresh Schaff, I think what's his name? Dougie Fresh. Hold on just a second. I'm going to interview, his Making Maine Your Home. That's what it is. MakeMaineYourHome.com. Doug Schaff. And look, I got a sweet spot for Maine. That's all there is to it. Sorry, everybody, but I just have a sweet spot. So I was curious. First of all, he's in a kind of I don't want to say a heavy metal band, but like a hard band. Not I want to say hard rock, because I give you like an 8. It's not like that. It's like a heavyish metal band that I said, So I came across one of his videos because he lives in, anyway, I'm familiar with where he lives. I said, oh, who's that music on the intro? Because it's hard, but not like a heavy metal, like an AC/DC. That's or a hard rock. That's not like this. It's harder than that, but not like a doom metal. He goes, oh, that's kind of like a side project. A couple of my friends have. So that's fantastic. So anyway, I'm going to interview him because I said, man, I'm curious. Are people moving up there from Boston and the other, the urban areas moving up to Maine like crazy, like what we're hearing? And we shall see. I'm curious by that. And then, of course, you got Mary, everyone's favorite Connecticut realtor, Mary Hampton, who's Merry, who's, a longtime contributor to this channel. And she says it's freaking boom. She goes, she's never seen it like this. Booming from people moving from New York. So, I mean, that goes against what I just said, but I mean, I don't know if that's anecdotal or I don't know if it's just one. I don't know. I find it interesting. And again, the guy who's literally just put a house up for sale, two houses down from us for $100,000 more than what they bought it 2 years ago, which just seems absurd to me. It seems absurd to me that, I mean, I can't imagine that, but we shall see. My man Angelo says, I'd be curious to see a right capital on a retired couple with $500,000 cash at 65, no investments, and they own their own home. Social Security benefits can be the average, and they live on $40K a year. Well, they're gonna be fine. I guarantee they're gonna be fine. If 500, I mean, if $500,000 in cash and no investments, and their average Social Security benefit, we'll even say the average is $1,500 a month per, which is stupid. Because $1,500 a month average Social Security benefit assumes that they're 62. They took it at 62. Either way, I mean, if we have $40,000 a year they need to live on, and they got their house paid, and they got $500,000, and they got $3,000 a month coming from Social Security alone, I don't even have to run the right capital, Angela. I know they're gonna be fine. I mean, think about it: $40,000 a year, $3,000 a month is $36,000 a year. So just on the average Social Security, they're fine. And then you take it out a couple $1,000 a year on top of that. And then that cash is tax free because it's in cash. That's a big fat no brainer. That is easy. I don't have to do any right capital to see that a mile away. But health insurance, well, they're on Medicare. And he's already saying it's $40,000 a year. I'm presuming Medicare is part of that. But even so, if you have Medicare, I usually use about 150 Part B, 50 Part D, usually about 150 for the Medigap. So that's use about $350 a month per person. So $350 a month, 350 times 12. That's about, usually about $5,000 a year per person for Medicare. So you got $5,000 a year per person. That's $10,000. So you can even add that to the $40,000 they're living on. So we have that'd be $50,000 a year. All right. So let's hear me out now, guys. We got $50,000 a year of their income, of their expenses, $10,000 of Medicare, which I bet was actually gonna be on the high end, but just hear me out. Plus $40,000 they need to live on, which includes property tax because their house is paid. We're not even doing a reverse mortgage. Frankly, I would, but we don't have to. All right. So anyway, we take $50,000, we subtract the $3,000 a month that they're getting from Social Security. That's gonna be $36,000. So we need $14,000 a year off that $500,000 portfolio. That money will last 28 years. $500,000 divided by 14,000 a year. Oops, $500,000 divided by 14,000 a year, and that's going to last 30. I can't do that, right? Is that right? Times 14. Yeah, I'm getting 35,000. I'm 35 years. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting 35 years. But inflation, and then their living expense will probably go down as they age. They might be on the bare bones now. But I mean, if you have to inflation, well, you probably should put some of that money into the market just to try to keep up with inflation. Is there truly going to be inflation? I don't know, man. I don't know. But how long are they going to be around? 30 years or 65? Not very probable that they'll both be around 30 years. It's not likely. But one of the Social Securities will go away. All right. Then invest some of the money. I mean, and don't sit in cash. Put some of the money to work. I get that. But I mean, these are all what ifs, and we can do this till we're blue in the face. What if you get coronavirus? What if freaking Pablo poops on your head and he had coronavirus? I mean, there's all kinds of what ifs. What if lightning strikes? What if freaking I ever watch the NBA again, which I won't, and then you know it's we're at the end. The world is coming to an end. I mean, what if? It's just what if? What if Joe Biden all of a sudden could do the alphabet backwards? I mean, none of these things are going to happen. So could they happen? Sure, just not likely. So in this case, Angela, that's a freaking big fat nothing burger right there. Capital gains sometimes plays in the home sale. Need to watch the limits on the gain. Yeah, you got 500,000 though, man. I can't imagine too many of us have $500,000 of gains. Now, if you bought a house in someplace 25 years ago, sure. I bet the vast majority of us don't. Your explanation of life expectancy on the Social Security Society of Actuaries was excellent. Love the illustrations. Thanks, Al. And the issue on that is just, I don't know how to do it here. But anyway, remember if you have, and actually one guy actually pointed out it's even better than what I explained, because he was making the point, rightly so, that, now I can't remember what he said, but he pointed something out. If you take it at 60, I'm going to screw this up, but it's even better. So remember, if you got 2,000 a month at 67, it'd be 2,480 at 70, and 1,500, whatever it was, at 62. What this guy was saying is that if you have the option to take it at 62, that money, that 2,000 a month at 67 will inherently be higher simply because of the inflation amount that you get from it made sense when he explained it. I did a video on that a long time ago, which I kind of showed that, but it's actually be even better, because basically what that says is you get your statement, you can take 2,000 at 67, $1,500 at 62, $2,500 at 70, just for simplicity. Well, inherently, if you can take the 2,000 at 67 or the 1,500 at 62, you aren't 62. I mean, you aren't 67, you're 62, because if that's still an option for you, inherently you're not 67. So what this guy was saying is, not only if you take it at 62 is only 1,500, but if you take it at, if you're locking in at 62, but if you take it at 67, you're also getting the cost of living adjustments. Anyway, I'm confusing myself now. My head's breaking off. What I'm trying to say is that what happens is the percentages isn't what matters. It's the dollar amount that matters. So if you have a 2%, and so many people get caught up in this. It's weird. The weirdest thing to me, Josh, your cost of living are wrong. I don't care. It's the same flipping thing, man. If you have 1,000, 1,400, let's just go back to $1,500, and we have 1% cost of living adjustment. So we have $1,500. We're getting a 1% cost of living adjustment, right? That means we made $15. All right, so let's write that down so I don't forget. I don't have a notepad. Yes, no. All right, so this is going to make sense in just a second. All these people flipping out your cost of living adjustment. Yeah, it's like, dude, stop. It's the same across the board. So $1,500, a 1% cost of living adjustment makes me have $15 more the next year. If I have $2,000, a 1% cost of living adjustment is $20 the next year. If I have we'll just say $2,500 cost of living adjustment, $2,500 because I took it at 70, that's $25 the next year. And then it just compounds even more. So what now is 25 goes up, it's 1% on 2,525, 1% on 2020, 1% on 2,000. It just adds more. The cost of living adjustment is the same for someone who took it at 62 versus someone who took it at 67 versus someone who took it at 70. I cannot believe how many people don't get this. It's crazy to me. It's the same flipping thing. Nothing changes. It doesn't matter that my numbers might not come to fruition. No one has any idea. It matters if you get a cost of living adjustment, Al, of 2%, I also get a cost of living adjustment at 2%. If Al's base Social Security is $2,000, his cost of living adjustment will net him $40. If my base Social Security is $1,000, that same cost of living adjustment is going to net me $20. And inherently, Al's is gradually going to grow higher and higher and higher than mine, because we have the exact same cost of living adjustments, but he has a bigger nut on which to start with. That's crazy. That's why I can't stand these financial advisors. I only charge 1%. Well, 1%, that's not bad. Hell, man, 1% on $5,000, that's the equivalent of your Medicare premiums. 1% on $500,000 is $5,000 a year. That is the equivalent of Medicare. Would you say my financial advisor is worth my Medicare? No, you wouldn't, and you should not, especially on an annual basis. That's nuts to all that crap. Let me go over something else real quick. Actually, I want to share this with this freaking. I told my man I was going to share. I'm going to. He sent this to me. Oh, this makes me so mad. Nope. So, oh, wait till you read this. Suicide of the liberals. This is freaking scary. Scary. I probably won't do that here. Oh man, they talk about the cadets in the Russia pre-Bolsheviks, or right when the Bolsheviks are coming. How the cadets they were put up against the wall certainly before the White Army was. That's for sure. And it was very interesting. Pre-revolutionary Russia, same thing. What's this? It's just the fakeness of the Kansas Department of Health. So in case the Roth, right here. All right, so I want to show you this money manager review. This actually infuriates me. So I don't care about Fairfax Global Market. I don't care. But here is managerreview.com is an independent third-party company that tracks, ranks, and analyzes the performance of over 800 private money managers. All right. These are not mutual fund managers or hedge fund managers. All right, so let's check this out. So we got money manager review. Let me make this, can I make this bigger? All right, this freaking infuriates me. All right, so here we got, we're going to start with these guys. And they're just number one, so I'm not picking on them, but they're just the best or whatever. I don't know. Fairfax Global Markets LLC, Global Trends ETF strategy. All right, so they have, so they're number one for return relative to risk. All right, so the return relative to risk makes them number one. The risk return overall, and all they're doing is they're taking the return and dividing it by the risk. I assume that's like a Sharpe ratio, so they get 2.78. The whole thing's just freaking smoke and mirrors. All right, that's fine. So basically what the risk is of the volatility relative to the return, all that stuff is silly because I hate that crap. But anyway, be it as it may. So we'll just go along with the Sharpe ratio, which I assume is what they're doing because they're saying risk percentage, and I couldn't find out what exactly the risk percentage was. Standard deviation, that seems awful low to me. I just don't know. Be it as it may, I don't even care because gross of fees or net of fees? Gross. It's not what you earn, it's what you keep that matters. I could give two craps about your gross fees if you're freaking taking 90% of it. Your gross returns of 90% of it's going to you. Freaking nuts, man. So if anything, these guys look the best. Gateway Investment Advisors, index option override composite. I don't even know what that is. But anyway, that's net. And so look at this, gross. I told my man here today, I was like, dude, look gross. And here's freaking these guys. They got 9.84 return versus a 3.63 risk, which means their version of Sharpe ratio is 2.71. I don't care, but at least they're going net of fees. But look at all this gross. Look, all these gross. Only two freaking nets. Gross. You got one net. I mean, the idea that you're gonna even have rank people by net and compared to gross is freaking absurd, man. I think they had here too. Let's see. I was going to see if I had something on here. Seemed like I had something else I wanted to tell you about this. All right. So here's Porter Investments, aggressive strategy. So if I had to choose one, I'm choosing Porter because of the highest return with a high risk, but they're net, which is all I care about. I want to see the high return net. Now I can tell you this is all large growth, so I'm probably staying away from that. But I mean, look at this. So if we take the return is 27% relative net now relative to these guys' return, which is gross, and their return is what 1/3 essentially of Porter. I have no idea who either of these firms are. Don't know, don't care. But they have much higher risk in terms of volatility. Well, at the end of the day, if you just bought and hold, you have 3 times, even be more than 3 times. I mean, you've made a boatload of money relative to what Fairfax Global did. Yes, you took a whole lot more risk than that too, but the whole thing's nuts. I had to point that out. So anyway, the point is, what I'm trying to say is hold on a second, is that it's not the percentage, it's the actual dollar bill. So if you have a 2.4% COLA or 1% COLA or 5% COLA, that's irrelevant. What's relevant in terms of your Social Security decision making is how much actual dollars does it put in your back pocket, because that's all that matters. If you want to buy a hot dog at a baseball game, it doesn't take cost of living adjustments, it takes actual dollars. And the facts are, if you take Social Security later, you have a bigger number to begin with, which means the cost of living adjustments will give you more dollars than if you take it earlier. That doesn't mean you shouldn't take it earlier. It just means let's look at it in reality, which is if you want to have a bigger benefit, you got to take it later. If you're okay with having a smaller benefit for whatever reason, that's fine. But you are leaving more and more money on the table each and every year. That's just not debatable. And so many people, I can't believe you're using 2.4% cost of living adjustment, blah, blah, and blah. I'm like, dude, relax. It's not the cost of living adjustment. It's the actual dollars it pays. It's like, you want to get people mad. Don't tell anybody. Talk about how Tesla is not going to revolutionize the world. Talk about how global warming isn't going to kill us all. And talk about Social Security and why you should take it later than early. And then talk about how Trump is not a Nazi. I guarantee you're going to get controversy. And controversy is good for YouTube, by the way. So I might have to start doing this. Might have to start talking maybe once a day, I'll do a video on Tesla. I won't, because it just bores me to death. But I can say, just to get controversy, just get the algorithm to love me. I say Tesla. I can say Tesla. I can't say fraudulent, because then I could get sued. I can say Tesla. You're never going to power your house on Tesla Powerwall or whatever it's called. Or because you might do that. I don't know. You're never going to fly on a Tesla battery bank. Oh, that's what I'll say, or something like that. That'd be fun. Because people think for some reason we're all going to power on solar photovoltaic. It's just going to be there. They're just going to pull the sun's energy from the sky and turn it to electricity where we can fly wherever we want and go to Davos with Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and see George Soros. It's going to be happy land. We're making people happy. And then to say otherwise, you're a denier. As a side note, my kid went to 2 of my 3 went to school for the first time today. One had a great time. The other didn't have that good of a time because he was in a recess with nothing but girls, because they go by last name, and he's the only boy with an S. And to say he was miserable is the understatement of the year. And then they have their stupid mask, and they're all fogging their glasses, and the masks are all like this. And finally, I say, they're supposed to wear their masks and PE. And finally, said, well, just pull them down. And the whole thing is not science, man. It's not science. But I heard my man Governor DeSantis saying, screw all this. I think I even heard Indiana saying, screw it all. We're done. Move forward and enjoy your life. If you're worried about dying, then freaking quarantine yourself. And just think, it was only what 50,000 votes or something that DeSantis would have lost that crackhead. Isn't that crazy? What's his name? Gilliam or something like that? Andrew Gillum or something? That crackhead? He almost lost that clown. Think about it. Think. Brian Kemp almost lost to Stacey Abrams. Can you think in my state of Georgia or your state of Florida, you would have had these maroons as governors? They're just as bad as Tim Walz up in freaking, you're just picking on them because they're black. No. Tons of idiots. There's probably more idiotic white governors than blacks. I don't know how many blacks are governors right now. I don't know. I'd take Doug Wilder from Virginia any day of the week over half the Republican governors that we have, like Mike DeWine. I'd take Doug Wilder over Mike DeWine any day of the week. Would not take what's his name up, the black guy from Massachusetts. I wouldn't take him, but I'd take Doug Wilder over Charlie Baker. I'd take Doug Wilder over the idiot in Vermont. I'd probably take the guy in Maryland over Doug Wilder. Hogan. Abbott's pissing me off. What the hell, Abbott? Freaking, what the hell, dude? Open the damn freaking state and move on. What is it with these people? Why aren't they cracking down on the little freaking tyrant Nazis that are running amok in these places? I don't get it. I'm glad Trump isn't doing it. We don't want the federal government mandating masks. That's just screw that. But why is these governors, purportedly right-wing governors, just sitting by like with their thumbs and they're going, what the hell? What is it? It frustrates me to no end. I'm sitting there, can someone just grab their cojones and freaking stay? No, this is nuts. We're not doing this. Screw your little freaking tyrannical mandates, county commissioner. People can do what the hell they want to do. You have no end game here, and you can't just mandate it just because of an executive order. What is going on? What happened to America? We said, no, you can't do that. And thankfully, you got some judge, 41 years old, 9 years younger than me in PA, who was put on the bench by the Trumpster. He said, no, can't do it, Wolfie, can't do it. And I don't know if you watch Viva Frey, but that guy's tearing Wolfie up is awesome. I'm sitting there thinking, what happened, man? What happened to the right wing? This is the whole point. I say, why people, I'm a Trumpster, but I'm not a Republican in the sense that of the old school Republican, because they can all kiss my butt. And I tell you, it goes back to the smoking issue. I'll never forget this. Back in the mid 90s in Virginia, the home of Philip Morris and Altria. I'll never forget talking to purportedly conservative friends of mine during the governor race. They said they wanted to ban smoking in public places. I said, what? I mean, in private places, private restaurants and stuff like that. I said, what? You can't be conservative and talk like that. It's nuts. There's freedom of association, freedom of movement. You can do whatever the hell you want. And they had all these reasons to ban smoking. And we lost. I think it was put up. I can't remember if it was put up to vote. I don't think it was. I just think basically all the county commissioners said, yeah, we're going to do this. And it was all voted through the state. I said, it's crazy. You guys are nuts. And then on top of that, too, going back to freaking my man Eric Garner up in New York, who got killed. An illegal chokehold for selling individual cigarettes. I said, this is nuts. No way that should be illegal. And my Republican friends said, well, it's against the law. I said, but the law is freaking corrupt. Just because it's a law doesn't make it right. It's against the law for Jews to freaking live in Nazi Germany. Jeez. Oh, you shouldn't make that move. The whole point is just because it's a law doesn't make it right. And Republicans seem to be like, oh, the law says. I'm like, no, screw all that crap, man. The law doesn't mean it's freaking right. And just because it's a law doesn't mean you should abide just because some stupid governor has an executive order that says, how dare you freaking think for yourself? Nuts to that. I don't know if we're going to, I go back and forth. I vacillate between thinking we're going to boot this, and then I see more and more insanity, and I'm waiting on Governor Abbott of all people to freaking pull his head out of his butt. I don't want to. And then I heard my man Ron Paul had a issue today on a live stream, which is too bad, but apparently he's doing good. So anyway, I'm looking for Tom Massey, maybe Rand Paul, maybe Chrissy Noem to run in 2020 after Trump wins. All right, so Trump going to win. Well, what's your takes, guys? Tell me your take on the new. Yeah, that's right. Al was on health share. That's right, to Medicare at 65. Right on. Take. So, what's your takes on Trumpster? Will he win going away, or he going to lose going away? Tell me. There's Tina. Hey, Tina, I haven't seen you around. Hey, Mary. Mary, you got any? Let's see if we got Mary talk. Mary is asking, I mentioned you a couple of times about real estate. If you are still on here, and never mind my yapping, what is your take on real estate? Right on, Steve. Because Mary is everyone's favorite realtor in Connecticut, and she's the one who sent me that image on the builders all-time confidence level. So right on, Vinyl's out of here. Did you ever look in Jasper, Indiana? Ooh, that's a good one. Yes, Pop Stew. Jasper, and ooh, let's look at it right now. All right, hey buddy, we got Pablo right next to us. Pablo just make an appearance. Make sure you hit the paw the like button. Let's look at Jasper, Indiana. Oh man, Jasper, Indiana. All right, you guys ready? Now this is gonna be fun. Why do I like doing this? I don't know. I just enjoy it. Jasper, Indiana. All right. Didn't we look at Jasper one time? Or did we look at Columbus? I think we did look at, no, maybe we didn't. Yeah, no, we looked at someplace right outside in Fisher, Indiana. I think we looked at. Fisher. No, I think we looked at Jasper, French Lick. Yeah. But it's over by Louisville. I didn't know it was over by Louisville. Okay. I said, well, where is Jasper? There it is. Okay, so there's Jasper. Okay, so let's go to Jasper. And what we're going to do is we got max 600,000. Why is it going all over like that? Let me hit refresh. We got max 600,000, min 200,000. Actually, I don't want 4. I want 3 beds. Let's go to 3 beds. I could have sworn we looked at Jasper, but let's see here. We're going to look at 3 beds just because we're downsizing. We're downsizing. And what we did before, Mary, is we said, so here's, I don't know if Mary Hampton's still on board. What we did before is we said, okay, in Jasper, Indiana, there's 1,233 homes for sale that are why is that doing that? Hold on a second. I think I gotta, seems like it's screwed up some. Let's go back to filters. Size. Let's just do this. Do 5. All right. There we go. All right. All right. All right. So we have 20 properties in Jasper, Indiana. Actually, hold on just a second. Let's go back here. So we got, there you go. So we got all these properties in that area, Jasper, Indiana. That seems low to me, but listings. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 3 beds, 2 baths, but we want to say hide pending. It goes from 174, to about half that, I bet. No, that didn't. So Mary, let me see if Mary's still on here. So what we're doing is we said, we went before, we went to a bunch of different places. We went to hide pending in Rapid City, here in Georgia, and Key, New Hampshire. And we went to hide the contingent, hide pending, and it went down by half, I tell you. And I said, I don't know if that's normal or not, but that was pretty interesting to me because it went literally down by half if you hid the contingent. I said, that means these houses, yeah, in the sticks. Ray, you act like that's a negative thing. I like being the sticks, man. I like the sticks. Yeah, Gillum almost won. Zealots are angry. Great spreadsheets, Dan. Right on. So don't forget my man Dan Coolibert. If you want his spreadsheets, he has them available. Why you guys see those things? All right, so let me go back to this. Anyway, so in Jasper, Indiana, it doesn't have that many pending, which is interesting. I wonder if that's a better. I wonder then if that's a better buyer because there's not that many contingent sales. That might be better buying opportunity. So let's look at right here. What is this? Oh, look at that. There you go. 600,000. Last time we did this, someone said, does your wife know you're house shopping? I said, no, it's research. They're researching for you guys. So let's take a look. Why do we like doing this? I don't know. Oh, look at that. Look how green that looks. Yeah, that's nice. All right, so that's 600,000. Oh, yeah, right there. So I'm talking about. Of course, I think nothing but mosquitoes. That's what I'm talking about, man. Oh, yeah, dude. Look at that. Nice. Looks like it's got natural gas, I think. Is that natural gas? I can't tell. I'm moving. All right, so we're putting our house on the market tomorrow, moving there. Let's see what the property tax. Oh, look at that. That is what I'm talking about, man. Definitely want that pond. Jump in that sucker. I don't know what's going on there. It looks like a football field. All right. Ooh, across the street from a football field. So if you want to go to the football field, you're all for it. So let's see what we got here. We got property tax is what? 246. So that's what's that? 200. That's $3,000 here. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But I just wonder why Jasper doesn't have as many. Let me just go back to what I was showing you up in Rapid City. I just wanted, because for you guys who are new, we're just jumped on now. I went to Rapid City and I said, okay, so here's 141 homes in Rapid City that are not having a contingent contract on it. Now, if we hide that, it goes from 141 to 293. So why does it go up in half? Why does it go up by 100%? And then we went to, I think we went to Portland, Maine. Did I go to Portland, Maine? I can't remember. I know I went to Bernie, Texas. I know I went to Alpharetta, Georgia. Actually, let's go to Portland, Oregon. There you go. So 4924. Then we go to listing status and we hide contingents. And then we got to get my face out of the way. Hit done. And look at that. Yeah. So if you, I mean, look, that means there are basically, there are 3,000 houses in Portland, Oregon area that have got contingencies on it. And only 1,600 that are free. And that's what I was saying. Is that normal? I don't know. I've never looked at it like that before. That just seems crazy to me. That seems like it's got to be a seller's market, right? So let's go to Portland, Maine. All right. And we'll do the same thing. So 184 houses in Portland, Maine without contingency. With a contingency, 289. Again, a doubling. Let's see if I can't show you. Did I ever show you guys where I used to? I think I did before, right? I showed you where I lived right there. Ooh, that's my island right there. Let's check it out. 349 on the island I grew up on. Who's ready to move there? Let's take a gander. Oh, look at that. It's 3-bed, 2-bath, 900 square foot on Island Ave. Oh, it's on Island Ave. Don't tell my wife I'm putting an offer in. How much was this guy for? I can't remember. All right, there you go. I don't know if it has insulation. Ooh, overlooking the water. Look at that. I can smell it from here. Nice little front porch. There's the boat. Now it's when that boat used to go backwards off the wharf, we'd jump off that right there. I don't know what's going on here. We'd jump off in the swells. I mean, not off the boat, but off the swells. And I don't know how we didn't die. All right, so, all right, there you go. There you go. There you go. I don't know if that's part of this house right here or what. All right, that looks pretty good. I should do a Kickstarter so I can buy that, and you guys can give me all kinds of money so I can buy that house, and I can do my videos from Peaks Island, Maine. Just joking. It's called joke. Sense of humor. All right, so let's go down. Hey, what happened? Oops. All right, so what we want to do is see how much the property taxes were there. Monthly payment. Don't have taxes. I think they're pretty expensive up there. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, that's Maine for you. All right, so let's see what other kind of comments we got. All right. You did several places in Tennessee too. Fishers are quite urban these days. Ray said he lived in Fishers, but it has gotten very grown out. Yeah, right on. I'm a Hoosier by birth, Ray. Okay, gotcha. All right, there's Troy. All right, so you have talked about having cash during bad times. Sequence of returns could kill your retirement. Question: how will a person know? Yeah, that's your. So let's go back. That's a good question, Troy. Let me get out of here. All right, so Troy says, how will you know you're heading to hard times? I don't know. We don't know. That's the whole point. That's why you need to have 3 to 4 years of cash, because we just don't know. And there's no way to know. No one knew exactly. And all these people say they knew in 1999. The hell they did. All these people said they knew in 2006. The hell they did. All these people, when they said they knew? They said they knew in 2016 when Trump got elected. No, they did not. Because there wasn't a crash. It actually went the opposite way. No one knew about the commie virus except the commies. So no one knows nothing. That's all there is to it. And so you just have to assume that it's happening, because it does, and then be prepared. And if I can real quick, I don't know if y'all can hear Puppy. He's barking. Again, this is back to my book, the Wellington Fund. And I just want to show you guys right here, the bar. Do I have the numbers in here? So here's the Barbell, and this is in 1973. You're taking $8,500 a year fixed, all right, in 1973. This is your ending value, the green, and here's your fixed amount. And you can see by the time 2002 rolled around, 30 years later, you still had money in there, but you were taking $8,500 a year. Now, with the higher inflation that we had in the latter part of the 70s going into the early 80s, $8,500 would buy less and less and less and less. But you didn't run out of money. You didn't. And in 1973 was the start of a significant bear market. 73 and 74 were bad, and they're high inflation as well. I want to point right here. So here's how it would have been if you had a 4% inflation adjustment relative how much money. This is on my new book, by the way. It's done. I'm just editing it now. So you can see from 1973, it would have taken until 1982, I think, before the 4% adjusted for inflation overcame the 8,500. So it took 10 years before you had to spend, before your 8,500 actually spent less on an inflation value than it did by 4% of inflation adjustments. Now, the interesting thing is the likelihood of you surviving if you retire at 65 until you're 95 is not very high. Second part of that is what happens is this is the time you want to spend the first 10 years. So I find that to be very interesting. But the issue that we have right here, Barbell adjusted for inflation, 5.5. I wanted to, yeah, so there's a barbell. Okay, good. Let's go back to 5.5. So this is the barbell, which is having 4 years of cash on the side and putting the rest in a Wellington fund, for instance. So this is the case here, the Wellington fund, and adjusting it for inflation. So here we're taking $5,500 a year because we have $100,000. All right. So what's happening here is we're taking $5,500 timesing it by 4. That's $22,000 we're putting in cash, and $78,000 we're putting in Wellington. All right. And so basically, because 1930, 31, 32, those 3 years are bad, we're pulling the money from our cash portfolio and not touching the Wellington. All right. And then what happened is in 1933, the markets jumped up. We're pulling money from the Wellington and not touching our cash. And I remember 1937 was bad, but basically what happened is by the time 1938 came around, we had no more cash. Everything was in Wellington. But here we're still able to take 5.5% a year adjusted for inflation. Now, this is some of a trick because inflation was going down. There's deflation in the 1930s, but you can see we survived from 1930 to 1954. That's 24 years, taking 5.5% adjusted with inflation in the barbell during the 1930, one of the worst times ever to have retired. Not likely to happen. Just as not. That's another thing too. The whole thing with safe withdrawal rates. I'm like, okay, these things do happen. They don't happen very often. 2000, let me show you, going back to, we're going to go, let's see if I got 2000. Hold on just a second. I want to show you something else though. That's 1930. Oh yeah, so here's Barbell, taking 7% a year withdrawals. If we retired in 1931, so we still got hit in 1931, 1932 was bad, 1937 was bad, and yet your money still lasted you until 1951. That's 20 years. Taking 7% a year adjusted for inflation. If you took hold on a sec. If you took 6% a year adjusted for inflation starting in 1931, your money lasted the whole life. You still, by 20, 30 years later, you still had, it's about 60, 70,000 bucks. And yet you're withdrawing over 10,000 a year. Again, not likely that you're going to survive that long, but in this case, it just, that 1 year with difference made all the difference. In that 1 year from 1930 to 1931, it just doesn't happen that much. It just does not happen that much where you retire into 1930, 1931, 1932. It just doesn't happen. We had 1930, 1931, 1932, 1973 and 1974, 2000, 2001 and 2, and 2007 through 2009. That's it, man. That's it. Of all the times we've had historically, those are the 4 years. And even 1930, though, if you would have retired in 1931, you're fine. 1931, 32, and 37 were bad. So 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So of the first 6 years of your retirement, 2 years got smoked and 1 year was down, but 3 years were down, and 2 of those were down badly. And yet you still survived. That's what I'm saying. It's like everyone's like, oh my goodness, there's so many different instances where we could run out of money. Let's make sure we only take, freaking couple pennies out. No, don't do that because it's just not likely to happen. Here you can see a 6% barbell fixed, not adjusted for inflation. And we ran out of money here in 1949. If we start in 1930, that's still 19 years. It's crazy, man. And here's 6% adjusted for inflation. We ran out of money basically 1951 to 52. Again, 21 years later, 6% adjusted for inflation each year. Anyway, the point is that's why the barbell works so well, because we've got 4 years of cash to offset anything that comes our way for the most part. And again, we're not even assuming you're adjusting your belt. Freaking adjust it. Everyone adjusts their belt. There's not one guy out there that says, I did a financial plan 20 years ago. It said I can take 5% a year out, adjust every year for inflation. I'm sticking to that. But I'm like, dude, you only got $10,000 left. I don't care. No one does that. Anyway, but I do want to show you again. I did a video, I think, on Japan. I just want to kind of show you again here real quick. This is the, here's 2000. In 2000, so 2000, the S&P was down 9, 12, and 22% respectively, or consecutively, I should say. So here we're taking 5% a year adjusted with inflation in 2000, and our money still lasted until 2016. So we ran out of money 15 years later. So that's probably too high, but because we started in 2001 and 2, and then we had the equivalent of, it's literally the odds are almost identical to a year as the Great Depression. 1930, 31, 32. 1930, 31, 32. We're down. 2000, 2001, 2. Down, down, down. Big time. And then 5 years later, in 1937, we got smoked. And here we got smoked in 2008. It's almost identical. Almost identical, actually. Very interesting. And yet, if you would have retired in 2001 instead, you're sitting all right, for sure. If we go, the 6% didn't do it. Let's see, 6% distributions adjusted for inflation. Yeah, we ran out of money here in 2012. What is that? 6% just starting 2000. Oh, Wellington. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So here's Wellington. Perfect example of Wellington, man. All right. So let me show you the difference here. So Wellington, if you took 6% a year out adjusted for inflation starting in 2000, you had money 20 years later. You had over 100 and basically $15,000, and yet by now you're taking about $8,500 a year out. But if you were in the S&P 500 adjusted for inflation, you ran out of money in 12 years. Why? Because the Wellington had large cap value stocks and it had bonds in there. The S&P is just mostly it's all stocks with a heavy exposure to growth. So look at that. Look at the difference between the Wellington in 2000 and the S&P 500. 6% inflation adjusted S&P 500. You ran out of money in 12 years. Wellington, 6% inflation adjusted in 2000. You had more money than you started with 20 years later. It's crazy. It's crazy. Again, we go back to Japan. Let me just show you real quick. Here's the worst sequence of return you're ever going to see. Right here. Here's Japan. Nikkei, that's the version of the S&P 500. 5% initial withdrawal adjusted for inflation. You ran out of money 8 years later. Because look at that. 38, 3, 26, couple decent, one good year, 2 green, but not much. Then boom, a boom, and boom. That's the worst sequence of return you're ever going to have. And I hate to say it, there's the only way to avoid that was to be all in the Japanese bonds. And if you would have been all in the bonds, you would have been fine. You would have ran out of money in year 17. But who knew? I mean, that's in hindsight, it's easy to say. So the point about this is always just do the barbell because you just don't know. The drawback about the barbell was in the inflationary times of the 1960s and 1970s. Any money you had in cash, any money you had in bonds got decimated by inflation. No other way around that. But that's the risk I think you got to take. I don't think we're going to a heavy inflationary risk. The government isn't going to have interest rates going up anytime soon. They're they not. I remember reading this back. Phil Graham had written an article back in the Wall Street Journal held back in 2008, 9 when Obama was first elected, saying if the government allowed interest rates to go up to historical norms, the biggest line item in the federal government expense was going to be just the rate, the service, the interest. That would be the biggest line item, more so than Social Security and Medicare, all the unfunded liabilities. The biggest line item on the budget would be interest to serve interest. And I remember reading that. I said, yeah, that makes sense. He goes, the government cannot allow the interest rates to go up. They can't, because if they did, they're going to have to service that debt and they don't have the money to do that. I always thought that was pretty profound, actually. So anyway, just that doesn't mean inflation can't happen if interest rates don't go up. But what I'm saying is, the reason that we don't have to worry too much about inflation is just the demographics. On top of that, just the inflation, usually how you deal with inflation is you raise interest rates. They're not going to raise interest rates. So essentially the federal government has an incentive to keep inflation as low as it possibly can. And one of the ways they do that, frankly, is I'm just telling you right now, one of the ways we keep inflation as low as we possibly can is we make sure that consumers aren't spending that much. They're just not. Keeping them scared. I don't know. Put them on a digital currency. I don't know. But they don't want inflation. They don't. Because they have inflation, they're going to have to raise interest rates to combat inflation. They just can't have that happen. So Jasper, my man Ray says, is far moved, a good place to retire, except healthcare quality is weak, which is a huge consideration as you age. Right on. So I would get walking, people, get walking. My man I was talking to today, he goes, yeah, I want to do like you do, walk every day, Josh. I said, that's the best thing about being working from home. Yeah, I walk. Yeah, divide. So that's another thing, Tim. I mean, it's exactly. So a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to talk about today. I'll do it and we'll get out of here in just a second. But a guy who had written an article about annuities and stuff, my man David Blanchett, maybe I'll just share it with you real quick. I'll do another article video on this tomorrow. And this is why I'm not a fan of annuities, and I haven't read this article, but his argument, should clients wait to purchase an annuity? And I haven't read it. I won't read it right now. I will go into that. I'll do a video on it tomorrow. But the issue in that regard is just create your own annuity. Just do like Tim. Say, I'm going to divide my money by 20 years and just live off that, or whatever you want to do. Create your own damn annuity, because you're not making any interest on annuities. It's just not there. Now, but they have mortality credits. We'll get in that tomorrow. But yes, it's just at the end of the day, turning over your money to an insurance company where you remove your liquidity, I don't think is worth the mortality credits that you get. All right, let me just explain what mortality credit is. The facts are with annuities, just like Social Security. The people who die early subsidize the people who die late, if that makes sense. So when people say the government's taking your money, no, or the insurance company's taking your money, no, it's that money that you did not receive because you died early is going into the people who live beyond their life expectancy. So the longer you live, the more your mortality credits, the more you're making off the back of the people who died early. Again, it's a subsidy from those people to you. And that can pay off handsomely as you survive well beyond your life expectancy. It's actually a good gamble. The problem is it's just not worth tying up your money in this day and age because once you do the annuity, it's an irrevocable decision. You can't undo it. So if I have $100,000, I'm needing $5,000 a year. Well, that sounds pretty good. Just turn over to an annuity insurance company. I'll never lose it. But what happens if the roof goes out? Or what happens if you need new dentures? You can't just call up your annuity company and say, give me a check for $40,000. There are some annuity companies allowing more liberalism in that regard, but it's anytime they offer more opportunities for you to have access to your money means you're getting paid less. This is all there is to it. If you have 4 years of cash, why not be more aggressive than Wellington? Well, that's where we're going to go in my next book. Exactly. I got no qualm with that, but here's the issue is that the Wellington serves very well in low inflationary economies, very, very well, because it's just this fixed income versus stocks. Fixed income is always good in low inflation to deflationary economies. I'm talking more deflationary, like Japan, like we were in the 30s. I'm not sure we're that way yet, but yes, Carl, if you have the Wellington, I got no qualm with that. If you have 4 years cash, I got no qualm going to all the S&P 500. That's what I would do, to be perfectly honest with you. But at the end of the day, we have to take this consideration. The facts are in a low inflationary economy, which bonds look good. Certainly deflationary economy. That's just a fact. Stocks still have the volatility. But no, I'm gonna write. That's part of my scenario for sure on another book I'm going to write on the reverse RMD. Like I said, when I first started as Livestream, I was hesitant to offer the reverse RMD on my Wellington books. I wanted to kind of keep it for its own unique book, but I think it's very important for people to at least grasp the idea, even if there's going to be some redundancy going into my reverse RMD book I'm going to write using S&P 500. Probably using Wellington too. I just think it's important to get that knowledge out there, or at least the idea, so people can see, hey, the point is I want to spend more on the front end because I'm going to spend less on the back. That's hard to argue anymore. Now, there's always an outlier, but it's hard to argue. So if we can get you spending, 5,000 on the front end, even if it means you spend 4,000 on the back, there's lots of numbers that say that's valid. That's valid. Simply because people spend less. And we talk about in the book a lot. Yeah, like James says, it all depends on how well you can sleep. I completely agree. I don't know when my Wellington book is going to be for sale yet, James, but soon. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be soon. I promise you. I know I was saying back in the end of May it'd be done. I got caught up with all this coronavirus stuff, to be honest with you. And then, and I just, what I mean caught up is just, it changed everything. And I was like, holy crap. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I was ill prepared for all that was happening. And I did not focus as much as I wanted to. And it's funny because once you start writing the book, if you just sit there and you turn your stupid phone off, you can knock out a lot pretty quickly. And that's basically the last 2 weeks what I've done, and it's ready to rock roll. I'm gonna have a couple of people look at it. Yeah, I'll be doing a tube on, not a live stream, but on Annuities. But I'm gonna have a couple of people look at it, just make sure it flows well. Because when you read it, you hear it in your own voice. You know what I'm saying? So when you read it yourself, you hear it in your own voice, and you elaborate on the things you want to elaborate on, and you might minimize the things that other people need to hear haven't been elaborated on. So, all right, I guess we'll get out of here, man. I got a good crowd here tonight. I appreciate y'all being here for sure. Okay, wait here. So Ray says on Roth conversions, I have a lot of colleagues. There you go. All right, I've seen some people here who are in their 50s, who are looking at 403B annuities. 403B annuities who have 403B annuities who are wondering if they should do Roth conversions. Average value 250. I mean, Ray, I just don't know if they should. I don't know the answer to that. It's each person specific, and there's a lot that goes on there. I just don't know. The rule of thumb would be if they have, I don't even want to go down the rule of thumb because someone say, because it really is contingent on them. If they're not married and they have a pension, probably not. That's all there is to it. If they're not married, if they got 403Bs, they probably have pensions. So if they're not married and they have a pension, I don't think I would be doing Roth conversions. If they want to leave tax-free assets to kids and heirs, yes, Roth conversions make sense. Of course, you could just buy life insurance for that as well. If they're married with no pensions, the default would be yes, they should do Roth conversions. If they're married with pensions, there's a little wiggle room there. So again, married, no pensions, the default is yes. A single pension, the default is no. Does not mean they can't change that. It just means those are the two defaults. Married, no pensions, maybe, and single, no pension, maybe depends. It just depends. I hope that makes sense. Generally speaking, you want to do Roth conversions when your taxes are going to be higher. We know if you're married, your taxes are going to be higher unless you guys die simultaneously. So that's why it's the default for doing Roth IRAs is when you're married, because someone's going to be in a higher tax bracket. But that still doesn't mean it's all that in a bag of chips. So we just got to look at the numbers for sure. What do you think of the Chapwood Inflation Index? It says official CPI is grossly understated. Yeah, I don't know. They've been saying that for years, man. I don't know. I get it, but I don't know. I don't know anything about the Chapwood Inflation Index, but they've been talking about CPI is grossly understated. Abington, Virginia. Yeah, dude, it's nice down there, man. All moving from Boston to Portland, says Mark Tierney. Mark, you in Maine? Mark Tierney says move from Boston to Portland. All right. Yeah, right on. Northern Captain says the public needs to pull their heads out of their butts. I completely agree. But how are you going to do it? Until the election comes. That's the thing. We can only pull our heads out of our butts once an election. Yeah, everyone gripes about the CPI. I don't know the answer to that. I just know this is the official CPI. So you got to use something. Kind of like you got to use the trustees report for cost of living adjustments and whatnot. Now for your specific CPI, yeah, we want. Look, if you're not buying computer goods and stuff like that, and you're only buying, I don't know, freaking lumber, then your specific CPI is going to be more so than someone who's buying computers with no lumber, for sure. Big A, man, haven't seen Big A in a while. What's going on, man? Johnny says his experience with Right Capital, married with pensions, reveals mild benefit to Roth conversions. Yep, I think that's spot on, Johnny. Absolutely. I think that's spot on. James says, I'm the most honest financial planner he's ever spoken to. Thanks, Mom. If you want to continue to get wealthy, you better vote Trump. Otherwise, you are sunk. Right on, evening developer. That's good stuff. All right. I'm out of here, my friends. We're going to get on and we're going to watch this movie called Social Dilemma. You should watch it on Netflix. If you're on Netflix, the Social Dilemma right there. The Social Dilemma. It talks about how this is rewiring our brain, which is a perfect to go on my book, What the Internet, i.e. Your smartphone, is doing to our brains. It's freaking scary, man. It's scary stuff. So, all right, my friends, we'll do another live stream on Sunday. Hang tight, and we'll got some more videos to do tomorrow on annuities, Roth conversions. What else? I got one on how is there a Democratic plot to abolish the suburbs? Don't believe it. We got one on pre-revolutionary Russia, the suicide of the liberals, 7 cases to do a Roth conversion. We did that one. And then we're going to do some more real estate ones on small houses, i.e. manufactured homes. So I'm looking forward to that, man. So, all right, we will, guys, see you on the other end. Thanks again for being here. Don't forget to paw the like button, and we'll see you Sunday, if not tomorrow, on regular videos. Thanks now. So let's hit this right here. Crack out.